ancient history and look at who were the people involved in the blood sports that entertained society of the time. They were youths. And as we look at this article, 1849 in New York, we see the same thing. That the issue is societal, it's global, and it's local. And that we need to really be aware of those issues as we focus on what we're going to do locally. And it's interesting to me that North Reading is really, truly a community that I feel we can all be proud of. That's proven by your turnout here tonight, by this event, and by the fact that we didn't wait for Columbine. We didn't wait for the dramatic issues of today's news. That for a long time, at least in my recollection, since 1993 and 94, we've been working in community partnerships with police, with other agencies, DPH, the AG's office, the Attorney General's office, the District Attorney's office, with a number of initiatives that, although they had a number of determined titles and targets, really all worked toward preventing violence and providing, Dr. Troughton referred to earlier, safe learning environments. I'd like to just mention some of those initiatives to you, that for a long time the police and the school have had wonderful relationship of communication, and that really helps us because we are so comfortable in our collaboration. That we have participated in the community justice programs, as Dr. Troughton talked earlier about, with Middlesex County District Attorney's Office. That we have been part of the Project Alliance out of that office. That in fact, we are a part of the Enhanced School Health Program. And we can say thank you. I look out there and I see one of our former colleagues, a retired nurse, who took initiative with this and got us involved. And it's been a great partnership. And we've learned a lot from that partnership because it's with urban and suburban communities, besides the fact that it brought us a lot of knowledge about the kinds of things that we're talking about tonight. The SCORE grant, I would say thank you to the AG's office. We were involved in the SCORE grant. Our involvement in SCORE maybe was a little bit different in that we did train peer mediators, we trained some staff, we trained some people in the community, and that was done with AG's grant money, and now we have a cadre of people to work on conflict resolution. The conflict resolutions that we deal with are a little different than the references made earlier because we are a community of a different sort of complexion and a different set of needs. So a lot of our stuff deals with individual and small group conflicts as opposed to gang or large racial issues and that kind of thing. But it's been an effective program, and we're very thankful that we had the opportunity to participate. But it certainly is a proactive place for this community to have been. That Dr. Troughton also talked earlier about the community's commitment that we can see reflected in the community's support, the everyday citizens supporting the school committee, and our continual investigation of possibilities to add to our staff of counselors and school psychologists to help to address these issues. And we have made some great strides in that since 1993. That, as far as I'm concerned too, that we also had taken a long, hard look and are working with a lot of the issues that are basically social issues through the health department, the health education department, and working with kids in peer leadership and decision making. And this is integrated in the health curriculum all the way through the school system as it goes vertically through the grades. That we, over a year and a half ago, Dr. Troughton and the police department took an initiative, and the Zero Tolerance Committee was founded, a committee that includes community representation, political representation, school department representation, and police representation. That committee formulated first the philosophy of zero tolerance around substance, then a procedure to show support for the philosophy that they had established. And quite naturally, the work of that committee grew into school safety. The work of zero tolerance became school safety issue and is now culminating with the production of a publication that's going to be an in-house tool, a school safety protocol which in a sense is a recipe book for response to crises in the schools. No, not just Columbine shoot-em-ups, but all the way from the failed sump pump to the ultimate tragic event, that a staff member can look at this and cut to a set of suggestions, directions, emergency phone numbers, and be able to respond. I'm proud of that work because it was a collaborative effort. And again, we turn to the AG's office on this one and say thank you, because the funding that came through SCORE helped us to do some of that work and was an outgrowth of some of the work of SCORE and conflict resolution as it fitted back in to trying to provide our kids with a safe learning environment. That work now will be done? No, I think that we would be going on and looking at other issues and other places that we have to go with the work of that committee. That we are continuing to use documents that we have created along the way, where we have provided a protocol or reference documents for crisis response in the school. That tragic automobile accident that has all too often happened in our community, and how we would respond, and collaborations with police and other safety officials on those issues. Response to suicide or threatened suicide, and response to issues like child abuse, and how a staff member goes about bringing that to the attention of the Department of Social Services as a mandated reporter, but can along the way garner the support of a team of professionals within the building, so that there is a protocol for handling the situation that is safe, fair, just, and brings the right response for kids. All of these are things that have just naturally developed in the course of looking at these issues over the last several years. That finally, I would say that this school system and the community overall have just very clearly demonstrated over all of this time its complete dedication to providing all of our kids, all of our learners, with a very safe place to learn. And this is exemplified both by this gathering, and I don't mean to beat this horse, but I think we all should be, as a community, rightfully proud of it. I think some of the MCAS results are based in the fact that our kids do feel safe and have some time to learn. And I think that we've paid attention to that. I think, just in closing my own remarks, I think that we need to remember, using that rather twisted sense of humor, that violence ain't new and it ain't nice. That what we're dealing with is that we need, as a community, as individuals, and as organizations, to do the things we're doing because they actually do make a difference, and I think we can see that. But we also have to understand that if a tragedy is determined to happen, that all of our proactive stances cannot, and likely would not, cut off a single act of violence or stop a dedicated perpetrator. But that all of these proactive positions will certainly do a great deal to lessen the possibilities of those things happening in our communities. I think that the last thing that I would like to do is go back to the North Reading school nurses for a second and let you know that quite coincidentally, in my mail yesterday, an article was forwarded to me by one of the nurses just because she thought I would be interested. And it talks about the issue of people being so concerned about school violence that in fact it results in an article that is titled, "Turning Kids into Paranoids." I would just like to say that what we need to do in providing safe places for kids is to plan, to be calm, to be together, and give that message to kids that indeed school is safe, not that it's a place to be frightened of because it's a place where violence happens. We heard statistically that that's not true. I'd like to just quote this one short paragraph from the article that simply says about providing safe learning environments that instead of instilling fear in children, why not teach them the truth? Teach them that yes, bad things do happen from time to time. For the most part, schools are safe. They are safe in school. Rather than teach them to fear and suspect their classmates, encourage them to reach out to others in friendship. That alone might end some of the alienation that psychologists say turns 1 in a million ordinary student into a cold-blooded killer. So I think that where that culminates is teaching tolerance, acceptance of diversity, being supportive of the kids. We're on the right road. I think we need to just continue the work and not tire. Thank you.
I'm going to stand up. My butt is kind of sore. I concur with the panel. You know, Ron did a fine job, Ellen and Sandra, Dr. Troutman. They're all talking about the positive aspects of our community. I've lived in the town of North Reading for over 45 years, and I've got a stake in the community. I've raised 4 kids. I went through the North Reading school system myself, graduated from North Reading High School in 1965. My 4 children graduated from North Reading High School. I'm the proud grandparent of 4 grandkids, 2 boys and a girl, and I'm expecting another girl in March. So I have a stake in the future of our nation, our community, and our state. I'm a concerned parent. I'm a concerned law enforcement officer, and I'm a concerned supporter of our community activities, our community institutions, such as our schools, our religious institutions, our business community, and our youth groups. And why am I concerned? I'm concerned because our youth are up against seems to be insurmountable odds. For example, in today's Boston Globe, there was a sort of an insignificant little article in there authored by Northeastern University that did a study on the economics in Massachusetts, and they said that the mean income of the average family in Massachusetts has dropped down 5% in the last decade. You know, that seems like it may be a trivial little number, but when you do an analysis of what that means and what it means historically, it does raise a level of concern. Some of the issues that you may be concerned about that are tied into economics, the rise of hate groups. Hate groups have a tendency to come out of the woodwork when they see some kind of a social crisis or an economic crisis. So that 5% decrease in economics automatically set off a little alarm in my law enforcement brain. And as a concerned citizen, I feel it my duty to convey that kind of message to the partnerships that we've formed and to the residents of the town. What other kind of things are confronting kids today that weren't confronting children of my generation or even my children's generation? One of the most unscrupulous things can be also one of the most positive things in modern life, and that's the internet. In my learnings, I've found that there are at least 1,500 sites on the internet today that are dedicated to getting the message of hate out there. They're run by organizations, white Aryan Brotherhood organizations. They're run by the KKK and other hate groups around the nation. There is a like number of internet sites out there that can tell you how to make a bomb with very clear and distinct, easy to follow directions. So as a parent, as a grandfather, as a person that works in this community, I am concerned. But what do we do about it? Or what is the town of North Reading doing about it? Maybe a better thing to look at. I am also proud of the community of North Reading. Having had the privilege of being in the schools in an ancillary role for over a decade, I found that the schools in North Reading not only provide a safe environment for the vast majority of our students, but it also provides a sanctuary for those who perhaps in their lives, this is the safest 6 or 7 hours during their Monday through Friday week. So I've been proud to have that relationship. Born out of that relationship over that period of time was a trust that was built between the schools and the police department. We've been working cooperatively on a number of programs, ranging from the DARE program all the way up to the present, the Zero Tolerance Committee, where we're sharing our concerns and our level of expertise developing these positive plans that will hopefully deal with and prevent tragedies from occurring in our community. But there's an awful lot to be done. The town of North Reading also has some of the most dedicated community members that focus their attentions